The Great Depression was a challenging time for families all over the United States, forcing people to get creative with the resources they had. Food was not just about eating, it was about survival, and every meal had to stretch further than ever before. In today's video, we're diving into 20 forgotten recipes from this difficult time. These dishes weren't just meals, they were lifelines. Number 1. Bread pudding. Bread pudding, a dish with deep historical roots, was born out of necessity during times of scarcity, particularly during the Great Depression. This dessert is a prime example of how resourcefulness in the kitchen can transform simple, often leftover ingredients into a comforting, satisfying meal. Traditionally, bread pudding was made by soaking stale bread in a mixture of milk, eggs, sugar, and spices like cinnamon or nutmeg. What made this dish particularly unique was its flexibility. Almost any type of bread could be used, whether it was white bread, whole wheat, or even leftover rolls. During the Depression, families relied heavily on inexpensive ingredients. Bread pudding became a valuable dish because it could feed large families without breaking the bank. Often, any additional flavoring, such as raisins, dried fruit, or vanilla, would depend on what was available. The dish was also a practical way to use stale bread that would have otherwise been discarded, reducing waste and making the most of limited resources. As the years went on, bread pudding evolved into a versatile dish with variations that included adding chocolate chips, caramelized fruits, or even savory ingredients like cheese and herbs for a main course. Today, it's still considered comfort food in many households, with some regional variations, like the use of bourbon in southern versions, or the inclusion of custard-like fillings in French bread puddings. While it started as a budget-friendly meal, bread pudding has found its place on restaurant menus, where it's often served as a decadent dessert, often drizzled with sauce, dusted with powdered sugar, or paired with fresh cream. Despite the modern twists, bread pudding remains rooted in the essence of its humble beginnings, a testament to the creativity and resilience that people displayed during tough times. Number 2. Baked beans. Baked beans have long been a staple of comfort food in many cultures, but their roots run deep in the survival food traditions of the Great Depression. The dish originally began as a simple, hearty meal designed to stretch limited resources and feed a family over several days. Beans, particularly navy beans, were a reliable and affordable protein source that could be purchased in bulk. To make baked beans, families would combine beans with a variety of simple ingredients, such as molasses, brown sugar, and salt pork, or bacon. The molasses provided sweetness while also acting as a preservative, allowing the dish to last longer. The slow cooking process in a cast iron pot allowed the beans to absorb the flavors of the sweet and smoky ingredients, creating a filling and satisfying dish. Over time, regional variations emerged, with different areas adapting the recipe based on available ingredients. Some swapped molasses for brown sugar, others added mustard, tomato paste, or vinegar for extra flavor. This adaptability made baked beans a dish that could be prepared using whatever was on hand. Though initially a dish to feed large families on a budget, baked beans also became a symbol of resilience and resourcefulness during the Depression era. Their lasting popularity is also linked to their versatility. They could be served as a side dish, as part of a full meal with cornbread, or even as a main course when times were especially lean. Today, baked beans remain an enduring favorite, often making an appearance at summer barbecues and family gatherings. Number 3. Depression cake. Depression cake, also known as wacky cake or crazy cake, was born out of necessity during the Great Depression when ingredients like eggs, milk, and butter were expensive and difficult to obtain. This cake was a solution for families who wanted a sweet treat without the luxury of rich ingredients. Made with basic pantry staples, flour, sugar, cocoa powder, baking soda, vinegar, vegetable oil, and water, Depression cake became an iconic dessert due to its simplicity and affordability. What makes it unique is the absence of eggs and dairy, which typically provide structure and moisture in cakes. Instead, the vinegar reacts with the baking soda to create leavening, making the cake light and fluffy. The cake has a surprisingly rich, moist texture despite its minimal ingredients. Over time, recipes for depression cake have adapted, with some incorporating vanilla, cinnamon, or frosting to enhance the flavor, though the basic recipe remains unchanged. Modern variations may include frosting options like powdered sugar glaze or chocolate ganache. The cake's ability to provide comfort and indulgence on a budget made it a cherished dessert during the Depression and continues to be a nostalgic favorite today. Number 4. Rice and raisins. Rice and raisins was a simple yet resourceful dish that became popular during the Great Depression for its affordability and versatility. This dish, often served as a pudding, combined the inexpensive staples of rice and raisins, which were easy to store and had long shelf lives. The basic preparation involved cooking rice with water or milk, then adding sugar and raisins to create a comforting and filling dessert. The raisins would soften as they cooked, adding natural sweetness to the dish. This humble dessert was a clever way to stretch limited food supplies while still providing a sense of indulgence. For many families, rice and raisins was not just a treat. It could serve as breakfast, a snack, or even a side dish. Some variations of the recipe included spices like cinnamon or nutmeg to add flavor, and it was sometimes thickened with cornstarch to give it a richer texture. While rice and raisins has faded in popularity over the years, it remains a nostalgic dish for those who grew up with it during tough times. Today, it can still be found in some homes, especially as a quick and affordable dessert for families looking to make the most out of basic pantry items. Number 5. Hot water cornbread. Hot water cornbread is a simple yet flavorful dish that gained popularity during the Great Depression, especially in Southern kitchens. Unlike traditional cornbread, which requires baking, hot water cornbread is made by mixing cornmeal with hot water and salt to form a dough. This dough is then shaped into small patties and fried in hot oil or fat, resulting in a golden, crispy exterior with a soft, warm interior. The key to its texture and taste is the boiling water, which helps the cornmeal absorb moisture and soften before frying. The dish was particularly valuable during hard times because it required only basic ingredients: cornmeal, salt, and water, making it incredibly affordable. Hot water cornbread was often served as a side dish to complement meals like beans, greens, or stews, adding a crunchy contrast to the softness of the main dishes. Though its popularity has waned in modern times, hot water cornbread remains a cherished part of Southern culinary tradition. Its simplicity and versatility make it an enduring favorite for those seeking comfort food on a budget. In recent years, variations of the recipe have emerged, with some cooks adding a touch of sugar, herbs, or even buttermilk for extra flavor. Number 6. Bacon and onion sandwich. The bacon and onion sandwich became a popular meal during the Great Depression, primarily due to its affordability and the ability to stretch limited ingredients. Bacon, a relatively expensive item at the time, was used sparingly, often paired with caramelized onions to amplify flavor without using too much meat. The combination of the rich, savory bacon and the sweet, tender onions offered a balance that made the sandwich both comforting and filling. During the Depression, families had to be resourceful with their ingredients, and this sandwich was an ideal solution for a satisfying meal on a tight budget. The onions, which were inexpensive and widely available, helped to stretch the bacon and add a depth of flavor. This simple yet indulgent sandwich could be eaten for lunch or dinner and was often served on stale or leftover bread, further reducing food waste. Though the bacon and onion sandwich faded in popularity as bacon became more accessible, it remains a nostalgic reminder of the resourcefulness and creativity required during tough economic times. Variations of the sandwich have emerged, such as adding mustard, pickles, or even cheese. But the core idea of pairing bacon with caramelized onions for a savory meal remains unchanged. Number 7. Fried potato skins. Fried potato skins, a simple yet ingenious dish, emerged during the Great Depression as a way to maximize the use of every part of a potato. Instead of discarding the skins, which were often left behind after peeling potatoes, Families found a way to repurpose them into a flavorful snack or side dish. The process of frying the skins in oil made them crispy and satisfying, while the seasoning of salt or other spices, such as paprika or garlic powder, enhanced the flavor. In an era where food was scarce, using potato skins was a brilliant way to prevent waste. Potatoes were a staple of Depression-era diets due to their affordability and versatility. Frying the skins turned what would have been waste into something delicious, making fried potato skins a perfect example of the waste not, want not mindset that prevailed during this time. The texture, a mix of crispiness on the outside and a softer interior, made them an appealing treat that could be served alongside other meals or eaten as a snack. Over time, the dish evolved, and today fried potato skins are often seen in restaurants as an appetizer, loaded with toppings like cheese, sour cream, and bacon. However, the original recipe remains a testament to the creativity and resourcefulness that defined Depression-era cooking. Even with modern variations, the core concept of utilizing every part of the potato endures. Number 8. Slumgullion. Slumgullion was a quintessential Depression-era dish that became a go-to for resourceful families. The name itself suggests a throw-together meal, with no set recipe, but rather a blend of whatever ingredients were available at the time. Originally, it was a frugal, one-pot meal made from meat scraps, vegetables, and whatever else could be gathered. It often included potatoes, carrots, onions, and sometimes canned goods, making it a hearty and filling dish. While ground beef or pork served as the protein base, the dish's versatility allowed for variations based on what was on hand, often including beans, peas, or rice. The simplicity of slumgullion made it a popular choice in households with limited funds. Its affordability and ability to stretch over several meals made it essential during hard times. As a stew-like dish, it provided comfort, warmth, and nourishment, essential qualities during the economic challenges of the Depression. This dish's origins are often traced back to miners and pioneers who needed to make a meal with whatever they had available, making it a perfect representation of the resourceful cooking style required during the Great Depression. Number 9. Molasses cookies. Molasses cookies were a key comfort food during the Great Depression, offering families a sweet treat at a time when sugar and other luxury ingredients were scarce. Molasses, a byproduct of sugar production, was an affordable and widely available alternative to sugar, making it a staple in many Depression-era kitchens. The rich, dark flavor of molasses not only provided sweetness, but also added a depth of taste that made the cookies feel more indulgent than they were. The simplicity of molasses cookies made them a popular option, as the recipe required few ingredients: molasses, flour, baking soda, butter or shortening, and spices like cinnamon, ginger, and cloves. These spices added warmth and complexity to the cookies, making them more than just a simple dessert. Besides being delicious, molasses cookies were also somewhat nutritious compared to other sweets, thanks to the iron and minerals found in molasses. Families often baked them in large batches, as they were easy to make and could be stored for days. This affordability and ability to last made molasses cookies an enduring symbol of the ingenuity and resilience of the Depression era. Number 10. Potato and onion pie. Potato and onion pie became a quintessential Depression-era dish due to its ability to stretch limited ingredients into a filling meal. Potatoes, being inexpensive and widely available, formed the base of the dish, while onions provided added flavor and depth. This pie often featured thin layers of sliced potatoes and onions, cooked together in a simple crust made from flour and fat, typically lard or shortening. The crust was usually plain, as most families could not afford elaborate ingredients, but it provided a satisfying base to hold the filling together. One of the reasons this pie was so popular was its adaptability. Depending on what families had on hand, the recipe could be modified. Some versions included milk or cream to make the filling richer, while others added herbs or cheese for extra flavor. The pie was often served as a hearty main dish, but could also double as a side. The combination of starchy potatoes and sweet caramelized onions made it both comforting and filling, ideal for a time when resources were scarce. Over time, regional variations evolved, with some families adding bacon or meat scraps, though the original version remains simple yet nourishing. Number 11, eggless pancakes. Eggless pancakes became an essential recipe during the Great Depression, offering a way to create a comforting breakfast or meal without the expense or scarcity of eggs. With eggs being costly and hard to come by, families turned to creative alternatives. The base of eggless pancakes typically includes flour, baking powder, sugar, salt, and a liquid, usually water or milk. By using baking powder, the pancakes could still rise and become fluffy, even without eggs. This simple recipe made eggless pancakes both affordable and accessible to all. What sets these pancakes apart is their versatility. They could be flavored with vanilla, cinnamon, or nutmeg for a subtle sweetness, or served with any toppings on hand, such as syrup, fruit, or a dusting of powdered sugar. The texture of eggless pancakes is slightly different from traditional pancakes, often a bit more dense, but they remain tender and satisfying. They were a practical, everyday solution for families looking to stretch ingredients and ensure their meals were filling and nourishing during tough economic times. Number 12, egg drop soup. Egg drop soup is a classic, simple dish that originated in China and became a staple for families during the Great Depression due to its low cost and quick preparation. The basic soup starts with a broth, often made from chicken or vegetables, that's brought to a simmer. The key feature of egg drop soup is the technique of slowly pouring beaten eggs into the hot broth, creating silky, delicate ribbons of cooked egg throughout the soup. During the Depression, when resources were limited, egg drop soup was a practical and comforting meal. It required minimal ingredients: broth, eggs, and some seasonings like soy sauce, salt, or sesame oil. Occasionally, families added green onions or a touch of ginger for flavor. Its simplicity made it a versatile dish that could be easily adapted based on what was available, while still providing protein from the eggs and warmth from the broth. Egg drop soup's appeal also lies in its ability to feel like a luxury, despite being made with pantry staples. The smooth texture and light flavor make it a comforting, affordable meal that could be enjoyed as a starter or a main dish. Today, this soup is often served in Chinese restaurants and continues to be appreciated for its ease of preparation and satisfying qualities. Number 13, scrapple. Scrapple is a unique and regional dish that reflects the resourcefulness of early American settlers and became a staple in Pennsylvania Dutch cooking. Traditionally, it is made by simmering pork scraps, such as the head, liver, and other less desirable cuts, in water until they break down into a rich, flavorful broth. Cornmeal is then added to the mixture, thickening it into a firm, porridge-like consistency, and the entire concoction is allowed to set in a mold. Once cooled and solidified, it is sliced and fried, creating a crispy outer layer while retaining a soft, savory interior. The dish was born out of necessity, as families during the Great Depression sought ways to use every part of the animal. Scrapple's humble nature is tied to the idea of nose-to-tail eating, ensuring no food went to waste. Spices such as sage, thyme, salt, and pepper were commonly added to enhance flavor. And while the basic recipe remains largely unchanged, some modern versions include additional ingredients like garlic or onions. Scrapple became a popular breakfast item, often served with eggs or toast, and was enjoyed in various ways depending on regional traditions. Despite being considered an acquired taste, scrapple remains a nostalgic comfort food for many, particularly in Pennsylvania, where it is still produced and enjoyed in local diners and homes. Number 14, Johnny cakes. Johnny cakes, also known as journey cakes or hoe cakes, are a traditional American dish with roots dating back to the colonial era. Made primarily from cornmeal, they were a practical and easy meal for early settlers who relied on inexpensive local ingredients. The basic recipe consists of cornmeal, water, and a pinch of salt, with some variations adding sugar, butter, or milk for richness. This simple mixture is cooked on a griddle or in a skillet, producing small, flat cakes that are crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. The origins of Johnny cakes can be traced to Native American cuisine, where corn was a staple. Early colonists adopted the technique of cooking cornmeal in the form of cakes, often to stretch their food supplies. Over time, these cakes became a comfort food, especially in rural areas, and they were typically served for breakfast with syrup, honey or butter, or as a side dish with meats. In the South, Johnny cakes became an integral part of the diet, especially in states like Virginia, where they are still enjoyed today. Regional variations include adding flour to the cornmeal or sometimes even using buttermilk for a tangy flavor. While Johnny cakes fell out of favor as more modern foods emerged, they remain a nostalgic symbol of early American ingenuity and frugality. Today, they're enjoying a revival, often seen on menus as a nostalgic, rustic treat or a breakfast staple. Number 15, biscuits and gravy. Biscuits and gravy has long been a comforting dish in the American South, rooted in a tradition of frugality and sustenance. The dish consists of fluffy, soft biscuits served with a rich, creamy gravy, often made from pork sausage drippings. The biscuits are typically made with flour, butter, or lard, baking powder, and milk, creating a light and airy texture. Some variations use buttermilk to add a tangy richness, making the biscuits even more tender. The gravy, a key component of the dish, is prepared by first rendering the fat from sausage or bacon, then thickening it with flour, and finally adding milk to create a creamy consistency. Seasonings like black pepper, salt, and sometimes sage or garlic are added to give the gravy its savory depth. Though the dish was once seen as a breakfast food, it has since become a comfort food, enjoyed at any time of the day. In the context of the Great Depression, biscuits and gravy became popular because of its affordability and ability to stretch limited ingredients. The sausage or bacon, which were typically scarce, provided flavor to the gravy, while the biscuits served as a filling, inexpensive base. Regional variations, like the addition of cream gravy or vegetable-based gravies, continue to evolve, but the dish remains a symbol of Southern hospitality and resourcefulness. Today, it is a nostalgic and hearty favorite, often served with eggs or fried potatoes for a more substantial meal. Number 16, potato pancakes. Potato pancakes, also known as latkes in Jewish cuisine, are a versatile and satisfying dish made primarily from grated potatoes, flour, and eggs. These ingredients are mixed together with seasoning like salt and pepper, and then fried in oil until crispy on the outside, while remaining tender on the inside. Though the basic recipe is simple, there are many variations depending on regional preferences. Some versions incorporate onions or garlic to enhance the flavor, while others may include grated carrots or herbs for added texture and depth. Historically, potato pancakes became a practical meal for families during the Great Depression due to the affordability and availability of potatoes. Potatoes were a common staple, providing a filling and hearty base for many meals. The pancakes could easily be made in large batches, allowing them to be stretched over several meals. In Jewish culture, potato pancakes are traditionally eaten during Hanukkah to celebrate the miracle of oil, but their practicality and comfort have made them a beloved dish year-round. Modern adaptations of potato pancakes can be found in various cuisines, often served with different toppings such as sour cream, applesauce, or even smoked salmon. Despite changes in ingredients and preparation methods, the essential appeal of potato pancakes remains: the combination of crispy exterior, soft interior, and the ability to be adapted to suit individual tastes and dietary needs. Number 17, oatmeal meatloaf. Oatmeal meatloaf was a popular dish during the Great Depression, primarily because it was an economical way to stretch meat and provide a filling meal. Ground meat, typically a mixture of beef and pork, was combined with oatmeal to act as a binder and filler, making the dish more affordable, while still providing substantial servings. The oatmeal absorbed the moisture from the meat and seasonings, creating a hearty and satisfying texture. Ingredients like onions, garlic, and simple spices, often just salt and pepper, were added for flavor, and in some versions, ketchup or tomato sauce was used as a topping or to mix into the loaf, giving it a savory, tangy finish. The beauty of oatmeal meatloaf was its flexibility. It could be adapted to whatever was available in the pantry, making it an ideal dish for resourceful cooks. Leftovers like rice, breadcrumbs, or vegetables could be incorporated, further stretching the meal. This dish could be made in large quantities, making it perfect for feeding a family on a budget. Even with minimal ingredients, oatmeal meatloaf became a symbol of creative, frugal cooking during tough economic times. And it's still enjoyed today, often with modern twists like adding cheese or different seasonings to suit personal tastes. Number 18, potato soup. Potato soup is a classic comfort dish that has roots in both frugality and simplicity, making it a go-to during the Great Depression when resources were limited. Potatoes, being inexpensive and easily available, were a primary ingredient, providing the soup with its thick, creamy texture. The basic recipe involves boiling diced potatoes in water or broth, then mashing or pureeing part of the soup to create a smooth consistency. Common seasonings included salt, pepper, and herbs like thyme or bay leaves, adding depth to the flavor. During the Depression, families often stretched this simple recipe by adding whatever extras they had, such as onions, carrots, or even leftover meat like bacon or ham. Milk or cream, if available, would enrich the broth, making it a heartier meal. In some versions, flour or cornstarch was used as a thickening agent. Potato soup was also adaptable for different tastes, with variations incorporating garlic, celery, or even cheese for added richness. Its ability to feed many on a tight budget made potato soup a favorite in households across the country. Today, it remains a popular dish, celebrated for its nostalgia and comforting qualities, with endless ways to modernize or customize it. Number 19, stone soup. Stone soup is both a literal dish and a metaphor for community cooperation and resourcefulness. The story behind stone soup originates in folklore, where a traveler arrives in a village with nothing but an empty pot and a stone. As the story goes, the traveler convinces the villagers to contribute whatever scraps they can spare: vegetables, meat, herbs, and spices, which all get added to the pot to create a hearty, flavorful soup. By the end of the tale, everyone has shared in the creation of the meal, and the stone itself becomes a symbol of how even minimal resources can be transformed into something valuable when people work together. In practical terms, stone soup during the Great Depression was a frugal, resourceful meal that relied on whatever ingredients families could scrounge together. The soup usually started with a basic broth or water and whatever vegetables, beans, or grains were available. It could include meat if it was affordable, but the idea was to make a filling, nutritious dish from whatever was on hand. This concept of stone soup served as both a literal meal and a powerful message during difficult economic times. It illustrated how creativity, collaboration, and even the smallest contributions could make a big difference, helping people survive and thrive during hard times. Today, stone soup is often used as an example of community spirit and has been adapted into many different versions worldwide, still embodying the same principles of shared resources and ingenuity. Number 20, cornmeal mush. Cornmeal mush, a simple yet versatile dish, became a staple during the Great Depression due to its affordability and ease of preparation. Made from cornmeal, water or milk, and a pinch of salt, it was a frugal meal that could be adapted to fit many tastes and nutritional needs. The cornmeal is gradually added to boiling water or milk, stirred until it thickens, and then cooked to the desired consistency. The result is a smooth, porridge-like dish that can be served hot for breakfast or as a side for dinner. What made cornmeal mush especially valuable during tough economic times was its ability to stretch meals and feed many. The dish was incredibly cheap, with cornmeal being one of the most affordable grains. It could be served savory with butter or salt, or sweetened with sugar, syrup, or molasses for a comforting treat. Sometimes it was even fried after it cooled to create a crispy texture, offering a different way to enjoy it over multiple meals. Despite its simplicity, cornmeal mush was deeply nourishing, providing a good source of energy and sustenance. Its widespread popularity in rural households during the Depression exemplifies how resourceful cooking could turn humble ingredients into a hearty meal. Today, cornmeal mush remains a nostalgic dish, often rediscovered by those seeking inexpensive comfort food that can be easily customized with a variety of flavors and toppings.